So when we started BaubleBar, I had like no relevant experience for what was about to happen as we built the company. And when I look back, I genuinely feel like that was such a competitive advantage. I had no guardrails. Like I had no concept of what was right or wrong. I had no idea how it was supposed to work in our category. I mean, I was like so fearless in our approach. I mean, we broke things in our industry that needed to be broken, but like we didn't even know we were breaking them.
You're listening to Retail Remix, your inside access to candid conversations with the people shaping retail's future. Here's your host, Alicia Esposito.
2024 has been a doozy. On one hand, we've seen consumers continue to navigate economic volatility, rising inflation, rising prices at the shelf and digital shelf level. And we've also seen merchants, brands, and retailers try to adapt and respond not just to what's happening within consumer households, but what's happening within the four walls of their businesses. We've seen rebrands, we've seen new partnerships, mergers and acquisitions, bankruptcies, and brand comebacks too. With so many dynamics, it must be hard for C-level leaders to keep track, keep focused, and keep their teams motivated. That's why during the Retail Innovation Conference and Expo this past year, there needed to be a panel digging into these issues. Our e-commerce editor, Nicole Silberstein, moderated an incredible discussion featuring 3 C-level executives who had their heads down, doing the work and guiding their teams through this incredible wave of changing tides. The 3 executives in the hot seat, so to speak, were Nick Bodkins of Boisson, Amy Jane of BaubleBar, and Karen Rabinovitz of Sloomoo Institute. 3 very different businesses, different business models, and different contexts going into this incredibly in-depth and comprehensive conversation. Listen in. I hope you enjoy it.
I've often hear the feedback like, Amy, that's so micro. Like, why do you care about this stuff? And I was like, I have such a different view to that. It's like, first, as a founder and to be a great operator, you need to know your business inside and out. And then in my role, my job is to make sure my team is so successful. And in order to have my team be successful, I need to know how the business works. I need to catch something before it's a mistake or catch an opportunity and figure out how to make it better for them. And then on the other side is every initiative we do, is your most precious resource. It's your time. And so what can I do to make sure that if we put something out in the world, it's just even better than we had imagined so that we don't have to go find another initiative to kind of help drive incremental revenue that way?
That's like very literal. Literally the things that you're writing down at night. And I don't want us to be like the downer session of the conference. And so I want to flip this around and just, if you can all quickly tell me one thing that is keeping you up at night in a good way these days, something that you are incredibly excited about, because there's a lot of challenge out there right now, but there's also a ton of opportunity. So why don't we start with you on that one, Amy?
Sure. So we say at BaubleBar that our customer leads the design of our product. So we started an initiative about 7 years ago called customization. And across now a lot of our assortment, she can come on and put her own touch on it. She can make it her own. And this has been like a huge passion project of mine and many people on the team. And it's our fastest growing part of our business, but also just so operationally complex. Because if you think about it, someone places an order and you need to know where thousands of individual SKUs are during the manufacturing process and get it out to them. But it's been super rewarding to build something so unique and then obviously have created some really nice growth opportunity in the business.
For me, it's just the simple word of joy. When people play, and no matter how old they are, kids or adults, you unleash that part of yourself that doesn't come out every day, because as adults especially, we take our world so seriously, and the world that we created is one that is about suddenly your phone is away and you are like potentially elbow deep in slime, and it's scented and it's colorful and you get to feel like you did when you were a kid. And I do have a slime for everyone in this room, so please don't leave without grabbing one.
Can that go through TSA?
I'll give you the ones that you can go through TSA.
Amazing.
with.
She thought of everything.
Your 3-year-old will be very. I know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know.
Look, finding positivity and joy has been up and down for me in the last 2 months. But I still go back and look at emails that I've gotten from customers that say that the products that we sell actually have made their lives better, that they've changed their relationship with alcohol, and that they can maintain this ritual that they've had that makes them feel like they've had a great glass of something at the end of the day that lets them wind down in their own way and in a way that changes. And I think that if I think about it with my business hat on, there are very few categories other than maybe NVIDIA that are growing at more than 30% a year right now, and have been for 5+ years. It used to be that people would look at this category and say that it was a fad, but IWSR just reported that globally we did $11 billion in non-alc sales last year. Brands are now sponsoring Formula One with their 0.0 instead of their alcohol brand. And I think that the part that frustrated me, which was being early, I think the joyous part about this is that I'm almost there right now. Like, I can't say too much about it, but like at the path forward. And the path forward is actually one that like I can get back to being the like super ambitious sales guy that wants to say yes to everything. The moments of reflection about what to say no to as we get back to business again is actually kind of comforting too. So I don't know if that was exactly the right but there's a lot of joy. There's a lot of joy in there, but like the reflection is actually bringing joy too.
Look, I just introduced my kids to Cool Runnings. Like, the best stories are the ones where you're knocked down first and then you come back swinging. So we're all rooting for you here. Can't wait to see where it goes from here. I think each one of you, your businesses are so different, but there's already themes that I'm hearing across all of them, and each one of your businesses is in a category that is very competitive in its own very different way. So I'm curious how you all keep the finger on the pulse of what's happening with consumers, with your category, and keep that cycle of continuous innovation so that you can continue to be a disruptor in your respective categories. Why don't we start with you, Nick?
Yeah, I think one of the sort of odd positions to be in, because like we actually are, for all intents and purposes, like a multi-brand retailer. We have 2 or 3 products that are ours, but for the most part, we're relying on brands to bring them to us. But in that is this weird position that we're in, that for the most part, we're larger than the brands that we carry. And so that continuous innovation piece is actually getting to know how to separate the wheat from the chaff a little bit better, because I've had to get smarter about the science, like the tech behind all of these things, so that when someone comes in and pitches me this thing that has like a beautiful label, I'll take an A quality liquid product that doesn't have the best branding way before I'll take a C product that has A branding. And so like the innovation pipeline for me is like, I'm looking for people that are having the conversation with me about finding a part of the category that hasn't been explored yet, because alcohol's got like 6,000 years on the non-alc business. So like there's a lot coming that I'm really excited about, not just in products that like are analogs to like their alcoholic brethren, like a non-alc whiskey or a non-alc wine, but like be on the lookout for like adaptogenics, things like that, like mushrooms, functional beverages. Like regulation is going to have to catch up with all of that. But I think some of the most interesting stuff is being done in there, and so I just spend a lot of my time listening to what the not the suppliers themselves, but like where the suppliers are going to get the innovation. Those are the people I'm having the conversations with now.
Mine is, I spend a lot of my time on TikTok. And that is because while I would say that our the world of Sloomoo is really for all ages. We're 85-90% of our audience is family, and the voracious slime lover is between 5 and 12. But like that 9-year-old is the most obsessed you've ever seen anyone in your entire lives. And even though they're not allowed to have their TikToks because, age, they're on there. And that's where they're finding all of their culture trends. And I feel like I distill everything that is happening there, which is, before TikTok was TikTok and it was Musical.ly, I was looking there for tomorrow's influencer, and a lot of the people I was spotting in 2017 on Musical.ly became huge in other channels and translated over to TikTok. So I know today's kids it's where they're getting their music from, it's where they're getting their language from, it's how I can have a conversation with my 14-year-old nephew and he's like, the words my mom doesn't know. And I'm like, duh, no cap. And then I know I'm saying it and I feel
now you have to tell us what that means for those of us who don't know.
No cap means it's true.
Okay.
So cap is a lie, so no cap is it's true. So I'm like, no cap.
I have ankle socks on, so there's no way that I know what no cap means.
Yeah. So TikTok enables me to also talk to. I have a middle part also. TikTok also enables me to literally, when the kids roll in and I watch them trying to get we want to make a video with their mom. I know what they're doing and I can get right in there with them. So right now there's this huge, ridiculous trend that oddly has increased the Elmer's glue sales by 300%, where people are dumping huge gallons of glue on the floor and then sitting on the floor and mixing it with their hands. So it's a different way of slime making. And I was in the venue the other day, and there was a family in from London, and their 13-year-old was like, I still love slime, but I don't love it as much as my sisters do now, because their sisters were younger. And I was like, oh, have you done making slime, the floor slime? And her mom was like, not in my house. And she was like, I actually did it in the bathroom. And I was like, do you want to do it here? And she was like, yeah, I want to do it here. And at that minute, our manager was walking by and he goes, I'll get the supplies. And I just gave them 3 gallons of glue and I was like, just dump it on the floor. And we all sat on the floor and made a slime together. And if I wasn't voraciously consuming TikTok in that way, I couldn't have done that in that moment.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask is, are you looking to TikTok for marketing tactics or actual experiences to bring into your centers? It sounds like maybe both.
I think the experiences for us are really based on we have certain boxes we have to check, and it's are you touching more than one sense, and is this delivering joy? And at the end of the day, is this going to create a memory with the person you're with? Mm-hmm. So I get that inspiration everywhere, but because I'm still startup-y, I can't just go switch up all of our. I don't have there's a new activation every month. Right. We have programming and we'll develop new things for each city that we open. And at some point we'll go in and start changing some things up. But for me, it's all about how you're touching people in their language, because I'm giving them what they're coming here for, which is something to play with.
What about you, Lee? I almost forgot the question. Sorry.
Well,
do you remember?
I think I remember.
Oh yeah, how you keep innovating.
So when we started BaubleBar, I had no relevant experience for what was about to happen as we built the company. And when I look back, I genuinely feel like that was such a competitive advantage. I had no guardrails. I had no concept of what was right or wrong. I had no idea how it was supposed to work in our category. I was so fearless in our approach. We broke things in our industry that needed to be broken, but we didn't even know we were breaking them. And so that sense of fearlessness has been one of those things I just really tried to nurture at our company, because I feel like it's helped us innovate and just think in ways that just with no guardrails, to keep going in what we do. And I really think it's kind of helped us build the company that we have today.
I love that. Sometimes that outsider's perspective is actually a really big benefit. I want to squeeze in one more question before we see if the audience has any. And it kind of comes from my perspective as an outsider. Often when I see people leading businesses, the thing that seems the absolute most challenging to me is balancing the needs of all the different stakeholders. So Karen, you mentioned like some of the workforce challenges, but I'm wondering how each of you balances the needs of your employees, your customers, your end consumer, but also to the financial stakeholders in your business, your investors or shareholders if you have them. Can we kick that one off with you, Amy?
Yeah, sure. I live in Excel. I have a background in finance, which I learned the hard way is not the same thing as accounting. I have this view that if it's good for us financially, then it's good for the customer because it's going to be a sustainable offering. It's good for our employees because it's healthy for our balance sheet, and then it's good for our investors because we have a financially sound business. So I do a lot of math.
So I luckily am not the one who lives in Excel. I know my skill set.
You have somebody who does that.
Yes, my partner does much more, but it's not like I'm in every financial conversation and business strategy conversation, and I look at our numbers every single day, like with many refreshes, because I'm seeing ticket sales in real time, and same with e-commerce. But I think at the end of the day, the healthier the business is, the more I can do for people within the business, the better their raises and promotions are. Obviously, the happier our investors are, the better it will be for our future valuation. And I also really just look at, I'm really transparent. So this past year, while we had a really good year, I was like, LA is costing a lot more money than we imagined it would. We got held up with permits. It made us sit on the space for a lot longer. I started paying rent on something I couldn't make a penny from, and I have a 6-figure rent. And I started sharing that with the team. And obviously we gave everyone their bonuses and their raises, but I was like, I'm electing to not take mine. And so is senior leadership. And I was like, we're not taking this because we want you to be happy. And I'm telling you, it doesn't feel good for me because I could use it, but these are the kind of decisions that I like to share, and I want them to understand because they see our numbers, or they'll read a story about us in Fortune, and they're like, our company's doing so well, and you're in Inc. magazine, and you're here, and you're here, and you're here, and you're here. And I was like, it is doing well, but that doesn't mean we're sitting on mounds of profit. And I think it's really important that people understand what goes into making a business so that they can kind of wrap their heads around why we can't just go build this or do that or have a truck that goes across the country to climb because that is going to cost, $500,000 when all is said and done. And for me, that's the way I like to lead, is by really sharing the things that I think founders wouldn't normally share.
I'm going to keep my answer really short.
Okay.
I'm in rebuilding trust mode right now. We founded an extremely ambitious business that effectively required a very large amount of cash because we were effectively building wholesale retail and e-commerce at the same time at pretty massive scale. For our investors, for our customers, for the people that we employ, I've got a lot of work to do. And one of the things that keeps me up at night is that. I just got to rehire someone yesterday who was our 3rd employee ever, and she was like, yes, absolutely yes. Can you turn my email back on? Can we start working again? That was probably best day I've had in a while. The one tiny little thing I'll tell you is that from my perspective, the whole reason why we exist is because my wife was going through IVF and she couldn't drink, and so I was not drinking with her. And she said, I need a Negroni really bad. And so I went to find her a Negroni. I found the whole problem with the D2C thing. That was what brought this. So from day one, we actually offered 100% health insurance for all of our employees that included IVF coverage. And I basically told my investors, if we fail, it won't be because I provided health insurance. We did fail pretty bad, and we're working on rebuilding now, but it was not because of the health insurance for our employees that we did that. It was just a sort of line in the sand. So I'm going to try to make more decisions like that as we focus and rebuild the business.
Can I just commend send you on IVF. That's still major.
Yeah, so we have a 3-year-old now, so that was a good thing. Yeah, yay science. Not enough excitement for science lately.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, all three of you, for your candor. We have 1 minute. Ooh. Did anybody come up with a good question?
Question round.
Hi, thank you guys so much. I was just wondering, we talked a little bit about like the negativity of being a founder and the things that kind of keep you up at night. But when you're dealing with that negativity or those like hard days, what are the things that keep you out of that spiral or take you out and help you remember your mission, your vision, values, things like that, that have been really helpful for you as you've been building your businesses?
There you go. I have a co-founder. She's my best friend. She was my best friend before starting BaubleBar, and we're still building the business today. If you can find someone like that to do this journey alongside, it's just been like the greatest gift for the two of us. But like I could walk in and she would just be like, I know what's going on. I got it. And it's a real blessing for those highs and lows.
I mean, I have a good therapist.
Same.
So, I'm also a big spiraler. I love a little bit of turmoil. So sometimes I find that I have to let myself have that. It's not like it's crippling me from doing anything, but I have to let myself have that in order to get through it, because the only way out is through. And at the end of the day, I always say, like, I went through an unimaginable personal hell, which led me to find healing in slime, and I didn't go through that for this to not work.
Yeah, for me it was, it has been since the very beginning, and like this is not meant to be cheesy. Like my wife is the most patient and kind person. We were actually married for like almost 10 years before we had our baby. And so we worked through a lot of those things, and she has been like a disproportionately large supporter of me in my career. She's watched me sit on the like floor next to my office at our home as like things have been going really badly and been like, it's gonna be fine. But yeah, it's, I think for me, it's definitely been family. That's like been the big one for me. Going to pick up the kid from daycare is not so bad either. So
that's all we have time for, guys. But
if we got one question, that was a good question.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that was a great audience question. Thank you. And I'm sorry we didn't leave time for any more, but I'm sure that these three are going to stick around if you want to chat to them afterwards. Thank you. Yes.
Round of applause for the panel.
That was great.
Well, can't say I didn't warn you. I think Nick, Amy, and Karen all did an incredible job sharing their perspectives on what's happening within businesses today, and also did an incredible job being vulnerable and sharing their personal thoughts and feelings on what is really required to lead a business successfully in this climate. Now, you won't hear this conversation anywhere else. So not only do I hope you enjoy it, but I hope you share it with your teams as well. We're getting into peak 2025 planning time, and that means reflecting on the change that's happened, the challenges you faced, and what really you can do to evolve, improve, and innovate moving forward. But that's it for us today, everyone. We'll see you next time. Take care. Thanks for listening to this episode of Retail Remix. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can find us on your favorite podcast player. Until next time, keep mixing it up.